Joe has an exam coming up and he decides to start preparing for it. He sits down to study at 8 a.m. and plans to study till 8 p.m. Even as he's already starting to dread the 12 hours he has ahead of him. And he spends those 12 hours sitting in front of his book for the most part, but lost in his own thoughts for half of it. He thinks about his crush. He thinks about all the fun he's going to have once he gets done with his exams. He thinks about that thing that his friend shared with him the other day. He thinks about his crush some more. He checks his notifications for a bit. He finds himself mindlessly scrolling through Instagram for every few hours. He opens YouTube to play some background music, but remembers what he'd opened the site for after a 30-minute Joe Rogan binge. He takes a short break for breakfast, lunch, and a couple of snacks here and there, and every time ends up wasting an additional 30 minutes to an hour with that. At the end of the day, his output is at best 5 hours or so of distracted, unfocused work. Raj, on the other hand, he's no productivity geek either. He loves his video games. He's binged and finished hundreds of shows, but he makes sure he puts in time into his studies as well. A couple of hours a day, that's all he does, but he does it well. He wakes up at 7, does his first bout of work from 7:30 to 9 a.m., and he spends the next 2 hours binging Netflix along with his breakfast. 11 to 1:30 is his second and final bout of work for the day, and after that he's done. He spends the entire rest of the day playing video games, continuing his shows from where he left off, maybe even scrolling through Instagram for a few hours. To cut right to the chase, I work for about 3 hours a day today. Yes, I try to spend the entire rest of my time reading and meditating and journaling and going to the gym and helping my students through daily coaching calls. But that's my choice. You could very reasonably spend those 3 hours or so working and the entire rest of the day doing whatever the fuck you want to. That is exactly what I am going to help you start doing with this video. Let me begin by saying I do not recommend doing this. I do not recommend following the advice I am about to give you in this video. I have, over the past year or so, transformed myself into a man who would 100% recommend, for a million different reasons, by the way, all of which we're not going to get into in this video. You can watch my other videos for them. But again, as I was saying, I today am a man who would 100% recommend you overcome these addictions of social medias and YouTube and Netflix and video games and completely rid yourself of them. But I remember the time when my screen time every day on just my laptop was in the double digits, and my phone usage was at least an additional 3 to 4 hours a day as well. I remember the time when if I was watching a movie on my TV and I had to take a piss, I would pause the movie, open up Instagram on my phone, start scrolling, and then get out of bed. I remember the days when I would literally be in my bed for 21, 22 hours a day, alternating between Instagram and YouTube and Netflix and video games and the hub. And I remember it was when I was at this point in my life, when I was doing all of these things, when I came across a ton of videos not so different from the kind of videos I usually make. They would say, stop playing video games, stop using social media, stop jacking off. And I would say, that's exclusively what I do in my day. That, to me, that's not much different than saying, stop breathing. You're telling me to completely stop doing something that I do for fucking 15, 16 hours a day. So I know what it feels like to all the time be lectured by everyone to stop doing just about everything that you do through your day. And so I am going to refrain from giving you a lecture. I am going to help you become functional even with your crutches. So what do you do? The concept is simple. You need to be getting done in a couple of hours what most people do in 3 to 4 to even 5. And I am here to tell you it's possible. I shared with you that I work for about 3 hours a day, right? I remember working for 8 hours a day just a couple of years ago. And I can confidently, without a doubt, tell you that I get done more in my 3 hours today than I ever did in 8 back then. The example of Joe that I shared with you in the beginning of this video, that is how I used to work. That is how most people work. But with just a little practice, you can start working like Raj. Let's set a few protocols for ourselves. Number 1, work always comes before play. You will not allow yourself to engage in Instagram or YouTube or any instant gratification until you've put in at least one bout of work. And secondly, you will finish your work for the day before lunch. A lot of psychology, a lot of biology, a lot of science behind this. We'll not go deeper into it right now, but have this protocol in place. Number 1, Instagram, your phone cannot be picked up first thing in the morning. The day always begins with work. Then you allow yourself to engage in whatever you want to for a bit, in order to take a break, in order to recover, to recoup, and then you get done with the entirety of whatever you want to finish in the day before lunch. Number 2, 0 distractions. During that time when you're working, your phone will not be on silent, not on do not disturb. Your phone will be switched off. Your phone needs to be switched off. You will ideally not have your laptop anywhere near you either, but if you do need it for work, open it with the mindset, with the intention that if you let yourself get distracted for even 5 minutes, the hour resets and you start over. Because again, the point of working only for a few hours a day is that you get done in those few hours as much as others are in double that time. And that level of intensity, which brings us to the next point, can only be replicated with 0 distractions. And point number 3, intensity. How much, I promise you, how much ever work you get done through your day, you could, if you had to, get it done in a couple of hours. How do you do that? By injecting intensity into your work time. However long that you're working for, you need to be at your 100%. Completely focused, completely awake, completely in the zone. You need to have absolutely nothing else on your mind during those hours. The average person, while he's studying, is going to be thinking about what he's going to do after he's done studying. And when he's not studying, when he's passing his time, he's going to feel guilty about not studying. So he's just in perpetual hell. What we do is the absolute, is the complete opposite. We work hard and we play hard. With these mindsets, do your couple of hours of work a day, every day, and make your dreams a reality, one day at a time. I'll see you in the next one, boys.